Silver Linings Playbook is another movie like The Fighter. People are familiar with your career. They are different movies than the ones that you had made before, and they are about communities and people and a very inside look at all of this kind of stuff. So it's a marked difference from some of your other films. Can you want to talk a little bit about the transition between the films that you were making before, satirical comedies, and these two films?
I don't know. I kind of consider myself a late bloomer and a slow learner. So I feel like I'm finally hitting my stride. And I feel that's a great feeling, because to me, the worst feeling is when you're pursuing a creative endeavor and it isn't entirely clear to you. But The Fighter, making that first, was a wonderful thing, because I got to begin this love affair that I have with certain communities, certain households. And I say about my favorite cinema, and what I try to do in these movies is I'm as interested in the texture of the world and the people as I am in the story. It's as fascinating to me as the story. So the details of how they dress and how they eat and how they talk and how they walk and where they live and all that stuff and what they watch and what their rituals are, that is fascinating to me. So that's as fascinating as what the engine of the story I'm putting into it. And that really was a beautiful thing that happened with The Fighter, because that was, to me, the whole, as Frank Sinatra says, the whole trick of the record was, oh my God, look at these people. When I would look through the photo albums of that family, everything about them just reeked of authentic life and people who lived in a very certain way.
Talk a little bit about casting Jennifer, because it's such a great story.
Well, people talk about how her age, and I find that her age really wasn't an issue to me once I saw her audition on Skype, which was the first time I'd ever used Skype or Skyped an audition. It's the first time she ever used Skype, and she did it at her parents' house in Louisville, and it knocked me out. I thought we had our finalists for the role. We had many actresses who wanted to do the role, and she just has this immediacy about her and this full range of emotion that's very readily available on her face that I think is part Carol Lombard, part Jenna Rollins. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's like all her. I mean, but it's fierce and it's real and it's vulnerable and it's genuine, and it just comes out in a specific way that's very much her. I was seeing who she was, and it was just all very interesting to me. Just as I had seen who Bradley Cooper was when I got to know him a little bit. You get a peek into someone's soul, and you say, well, that's a great thing to put into a movie.
He wasn't originally attached to this movie, and then he came to be, and it worked out perfectly because he's actually from Philadelphia, so he has the extra added, homespunness of the area.
The first reason I thought he was credible was that I thought he was credibly an angry, intense person in Wedding Crashers. He played the bad guy in Wedding Crashers, but that's a good start for his character. His character has a mood issue, and that was very impressive to me. I thought, when I met him, I said I thought that was actually you to some degree. And to his credit, because he's a very open and real person, he said that he had been less happy at that time in his life. He had weighed a lot more. He had been not taking good care of himself. He was kind of scared at that time in his life, but hid behind anger and used anger as a defense. And all that, just what I just said right then. Imagine, you're meeting this guy for the first time, all that in 5 minutes. That's a lot. That tells me so much about this man, that he was willing to share that with me, that there was so much vulnerability in that, there was so much humanity in it, because that's what interests me above all in the movies is humanity in the movies that I'm trying to make, and honesty. And it told me that he was no stranger to the character.
When you watch your earlier films, do you see mistakes or things that you would have done differently now?
Oh, yeah. No, nobody's harder on my films than I am. I feel that directors fall into two neurotic categories: the self-mutilating, or the self-critical, or the grandiose. Fortunately for my producers, I fall into the former, because that means I'm willing to take every note, and I never think my shit doesn't stink, and I'm always willing to turn around and say, is this a piece of shit? And that keeps you honest. I mean, I had moments in the middle of my career after a couple of successes where you start to drink your own Kool-Aid and you think, I'm an artist, and I've had friends who are filmmakers come to me with films they're working on and say, the studio's saying this, can you believe that? And I'll be like, I think they're right. And I've had to do that to myself. It's too easy to fall back on some preciousness about yourself, which is really, I think, a lack of honesty or frankness about the work. And I think a lot of it's craftsmanship. It's just craftsmanship. And it's like, do your craftsmanship. What some people call genius is just your ninth draft. It's your 9th time you did it. You did it 9 times. It's craftsmanship. So I'll take any note from anybody.
Did you change this movie at all after it screened for preview audiences?
Sure. You learn a lot from previews, and you learn a lot from Harvey Weinstein, and you learn a lot from Robert De Niro and from Bradley Cooper, and from Jennifer Lawrence. They spent time in the edit room and they told me their opinions. And Christian Bale, of course, in Hollywood, he was the one actor who hated The Fighter when he first saw it. I said, are you kidding me? I said, you steal the movie. What are you talking about? And he said, you didn't do what we said. I said, you're going to not say that anymore in a few months, And he did. He changed his tune. But he also gave me very useful notes, which wouldn't have happened. So I think in many respects he was wrong, but in a couple of small ones he was right, and those helped the movie. So good things can come, even if people say them in extreme ways. You just have to be willing to go through that process, which sometimes is a bumpy, painful one, but you do it for the craft.